One classmate decides to give another classmate a ride to a Walmart. Unfortunately, that would have been the last ride he ever gave.
Anything to say for yourself today?
No, ma'am.
Any reason why you might have done this young man?
No, ma'am.
No reason?
No, ma'am.
You have nothing to say for yourself?
No, ma'am.
You want to tell the community anything?
No, ma'am.
Did you confess to police?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you proud of what you've done?
No, ma'am.
Do you have remorse for what you've done?
No, ma'am.
What's going on, guys? My name is Harmon. Today's video takes place in Ada, Oklahoma. This is where 18-year-old Jerrod Murray killed his classmate, 18-year-old Genaro Sanchez. The murder took place about 20 miles or so north of here, called Asher. But Genaro Sanchez and Jerrod Murray both attended East Central University. I'm at Pisagi Hall at the East Central University campus. This is the dorm building where Jerrod Murray and Genaro Sanchez lived. Of course, they weren't in the same actual room, but they lived in the same dorm behind me. Both were 18 years old. I believe Genaro Sanchez's actual room was really close to where Jerrod Murray's room was inside. If I remember right, it was either like kitty corner to his room or just down the hall. And on the night of December 6, 2012, Jerrod Murray went over to Genaro's room and said, "Hey, I'll give you 20 bucks if you can give me a ride up to the Walmart," which again is only like 6-7 minutes away from here, as Genaro was. He was just being nice and saying, "Hey, sure, I'll give you a ride, right up the road." Unfortunately for Genaro, that was his downfall. So Ada, Oklahoma is south of Oklahoma City, but it's not that far away. There was only about one incident that occurred between Jerrod Murray and another dorm room mate. That was like 2 months before Jerrod killed Genaro Sanchez. And I guess the altercation happened when a couple of the dorm mates, Jerrod Murray and Genaro Sanchez, were all hanging out in one of the apartments or rooms. They were all playing Mario Kart. One of the classmates said, "Hey, I bet I could choke you out," to Jerrod, and Jerrod said, "Oh, I don't think you can." And so basically the classmate choked Jerrod out and he passed out. When he regained consciousness, Jerrod was pissed and basically punched the classmate in the face and spit on him. And the classmate that got punched, he called like the campus police and they filed a report against Jerrod. It didn't say anything that Jerrod got in trouble or anything. I think they just chalked it up to, just college dorm life guy stuff, like, "Oh, let me try to choke you out, man. Oh, I don't think you can." And then he decides to punch him in the face. But anyway, so that was like kind of one of the only minor altercations. So background on Jerrod Murray and his life before he committed the murder. Jerrod Murray grew up in Asher, Oklahoma, where he committed the murder. Grew up in Asher, again, it's only about 20 miles or so away. And I guess when he was 5 years old, he had tried to kill himself by trying to, hang a rope around his neck. And I guess the knot he tied didn't hold, and so his brother found him just unconscious in the house. That kind of gives you a little glimpse into what Jerrod Murray's mindset was like as a child, and I don't think it really got much better. Many classmates and people that knew him described Jerrod Murray as just like eccentric, kind of weird, somewhat of a loner, liked to dress up in all black suits to school like every day. And he said that he enjoyed wearing suits to school because he liked the way that it felt. He liked the weight of it. Of course, a lot of kids tended to pick on him a little bit. So all the way through up until high school, for the most part, Jerrod got good grades and seemed like a very bright student. But eventually his grades started to falter, and instead of graduating, he actually got his GED instead. So background of Genaro Sanchez, the guy who was murdered by Jerrod. Genaro, I guess, wanted to eventually go to a school out of state, but he figured the only way to really do that was to attend East Central University campus here. and then eventually transfer to another school out of state. Sanchez's goal was to study civil engineering. Genaro and Jerrod Murray were not really friends. They were basically kind of like acquaintances, and only kind of really knew each other because they lived so close in the dorm building together. And I think one of the only main times he saw or hung out with Jerrod was because Sanchez, Jerrod, and a couple other guys were hanging out at the other guy's apartment or room the night that altercation took place a couple months prior to the murder. So the real question is, why did Genaro decide to give Jerrod a ride that evening on December 6, 2012? And I think even though Genaro witnessed that fight between Jerrod and the other classmate, even though he was a little bit nervous and scared to be around him, I think he was the type of person that he wanted to see the best in people. And so I think he just decided, hey, he's offered me 20 bucks to give him a ride literally up the road. So he's probably like, hey, you know, why not? It's probably not gonna hurt anything. He asked to be taken to the Walmart in Ada, a couple minutes from the dorm rooms. But then after they got there, he forced Genaro to drive him 30 minutes north here to Asher. And when Genaro was driving Jerrod after they left the Walmart and were heading up here north, in order to make Genaro feel more at ease, Jerrod took the gun, which he actually stole, and he unloaded the clip and gave the clip to Genaro as kind of like a, hey, like, you know, don't worry, I'm not going to kill you type thing. Meanwhile, Jerrod had a second clip and he put that on his lap. Again, we're going to go to the spot where Jerrod forced Genaro to drive to, and again, it's about 5 miles north of Asher here. Thankfully, in his interrogation video, he gave pretty good directions on where it all went down. If you haven't seen that video, recommend watching it. It's very, very weird. So Turkey Hill Road here is the road that Jerrod forced Genaro Sanchez to drive down, as again, this is only about a half mile away from where his parents live, so he knew these back roads very well. I don't know exactly what his real plan was, but he forced him to drive down Turkey Hill Road here, which on Google Maps it says it's called E1350 Road, so I guess it has two different names. But in the interrogation video, the detective says, do you know where exactly that you killed Genaro Sanchez? And he's like, I don't know the exact street, but basically it's 5 miles north of Asher, and I turned off the main highway there, and then you go past a substation, and he said it's about a half mile from my parents' house. Well, I pieced it together. That is like a little substation box, and down that road, I pinned it on my map, is where Jerrod's parents live. It's a half mile down the road. It's on Ingram Road down there. Somewhere nearby the substation, Jerrod shot Genaro while they were driving, and of course the truck veered off the road and hit a tree, and he dumped Genaro's body somewhere in a ditch right around here. So I'm basically in the area where Jerrod shot and killed Genaro. If you're wondering the reason why Jerrod Murray decided to randomly kill one of his dorm mates, it's because Jerrod had been planning on murdering someone up to 3 weeks before the actual murder took place. And basically he just said that he just wanted to know what it felt like to kill someone. He kind of just wanted to see what it was like. And so the 3 weeks before the murder took place, he basically was just planning out the details. And he chose Genaro because I think he felt that Genaro didn't have a ton of friends and would likely not be missed as much as maybe some other students. Jerrod again has no remorse. He's extremely straightforward to the detective. He says yes sir to everything. Very, very polite, if you want to call it that.
Me and you met on the side of Highway 177 in about Sing Road at about 3:12 this morning, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at that time, you made a couple of statements to me when I put you down on the ground. And then after we got up, I read your rights to you, correct?
You read my rights before I got up, sir.
Okay. Before you got up off the ground?
Yes, sir.
But you did make a couple of statements.
Yes, sir. I did
before I read your rights,
sir.
without me asking you anything.
Yes, sir.
You told me you was the guy that I was trying to find.
Yes, sir.
be seeking when we get you in court.
Yes, sir.
You have the right to talk to an attorney, have him present when you've been questioned.
Yes, sir.
And if you couldn't afford to hire one to be appointed to represent you.
Yes, sir.
And I asked you then if you wanted to talk to me.
Yes, sir.
And you agreed to talk.
Yeah, just very psychopath type behavior. About a mile and a half down the road from that substation is the curve, which Jerrod briefly mentioned in the interrogation. He said, yeah, the road doesn't go all the way through, it curves around to the left. And as you can tell, the road goes around to the left. So again, somewhere between that substation that I showed you and the curve here is where he shot him, and they crashed into a tree and put his body in the ditch here. Again, there's so many trees, who knows which one they actually crashed into. I was kind of hoping there would be like a little cross or a little memorial or something where it happened, but I didn't see one driving through here.
Okay. And during that talk, do you remember what you told me after I read your Miranda warning to you?
Not word for word, but the effect, yes.
Okay, and what do you remember telling me?
In summation that I'm guilty, yes.
Of what?
Of murder.
Okay, and who did you murder?
Genaro.
Okay, and how did you murder him?
With a gun. I shot him in the head twice.
Okay.
3 shots were fired, 1 missed.
And where did you shoot? Where was this? Where did this happen at?
Around 5 miles north of Asher, Oklahoma, on our side road.
Do you know what that side road's called?
No, sir.
Do you know what's on the corner of that side road?
Power station, sir.
Like a substation,
Yeah.
OCD substation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And does that road go all the way through?
No, sir. It turns left.
Okay. And did you have knowledge of this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you from that area?
Yes, sir.
And your mom and dad's house is not too far from there?
Maybe half a mile to 3/4 of a mile, sir.
Okay. Can you get to your mom and dad's house by going down that road?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you indicated to me you shot this guy while he was driving his pickup down the road?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. And that's basically what you told me on the side of the road?
In summation, yes, sir.
And in fact, we already had found a pickup, and there was a body next to it in a ditch?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's what we're going to talk about now. Is that?
Yes, sir.
Are you okay with that?
Yes, sir.
So you agreeing to talk to me again?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
After he shot and killed Genaro, they crashed into the tree. He got out, put Genaro's body in the ditch, basically right next to the car, or truck I mean. Covered Genaro's body with some sticks and leaves, not very well mind you. And then he started walking in the direction of his parents' house. On his way walking, a guy driving around picked him up and said, hey, where you heading? And I think he told him to like take him to his parents or near his parents. And so he dropped him off. Meanwhile, that guy in the truck that picked him up pulled around and saw the abandoned truck that was crashed into the tree. And then he saw Genaro's body. And so I think he put 2 and 2 together, and so he called 911. Meanwhile, Jerrod, for whatever reason, wanted to come back to the crime scene. I think he wanted to hide the body better, and if the police were already here, I think Jerrod mentioned something to the police when he saw him, something to the effect of, I'm the one that you're looking for. In Jerrod Murray's trial, he was found not guilty by reason of insanity. And so instead of being placed in a prison, they placed him in like a mental health facility. It sounds like it's a pretty locked down facility. To me, I feel like it's a cop-out. If he was that calculated into the killing, like he planned it out, obviously premeditated, he picked the guy out beforehand. He picked where he wanted to go and where he wanted to take Genaro. He corrects the detective a couple times saying like, oh, you're talking about the Miranda rights, right? And you know, he says some other things that show that he's a very smart individual. All right, anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're new around here, my name's Harmon. If you enjoy these kind of crime related videos, make sure you hit subscribe and a little bell icon next to it. That way you get notified every time I put out a new video, which is always on Monday and Fridays. Anyway, thank you guys. See you on the next one. Take care. So RIP to Genaro Sanchez. Rest in peace, buddy. You didn't deserve that, man. You did not.